Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, welcome, welcome, wherever you are in the world. Happy to have you here with me today. And yeah, it's been a while since I've done any live streaming. Figured I'd dip my toes back in with some community replay streams. I had planned to do a 2v2 tournament. Life gets in the way. But yeah, here we are on a Friday afternoon or evening, again, wherever you are. Hope you're enjoying your Friday so far and looking forward to an awesome weekend. Gonna have some land battles for you all tonight, and it's gonna be just replays. I've been getting so many replays lately, just loads and loads and loads of replays, that I figured why not just go through a bunch today, knock out. We can get through a bunch of replays in 2 to 3 hours and just get some quality content for you guys, get some practice kind of live casting. So yeah, welcome, welcome. We're going to get started here with some Tomb Kings, courtesy of Cool Umbrella and Friday Night Fights tournament series, which he runs with the NC crew. So I will be going to that shortly. Just 1 second here. And let me just try post around that this is indeed happening. All right. There we are. Okay, so make sure I get the blocker switched off. And yeah, as you can see, we've got loads and loads of replays for you today. Just going to get through as many as we can. So let's get started. I've got people sending in more as we speak right now. So yeah, Friday Night Fights, though. It's definitely a fun series. Again, every Friday, more afternoon U.S. time, but it is a tournament that gets held on a weekly basis by the NC clan, pretty much. Sometimes, occasionally, it will get missed, but for the most part, on a week-to-week basis. It's a great way to kind of dip your toes in if you want to experience a tournament in a more casual setting, definitely more relaxed and laid back. But here we've got Tomb Kings. Lots of Tomb Kings. And this is really the way to go with Tomb Kings right now, in my opinion. Very smart build. No single entity constructs, really. Instead, just relying on Ushabti, which are pretty good right now. Both the bow and melee variant. We've got Cathay on horseback and some skeleton horsemen. Looks like Nehekara horsemen as well. Just skeleton spears and skeleton warriors up front. Makes a lot of sense. Allows you to go nice and wide and gives plenty of chaff to support those Ushabti. Against Kislev, we've got Watchmen of the Night and some more armored Kossars. Great weapons. Very interesting to have the great weapons. I guess they're not really scared of like skeleton archers here, which actually does make sense. Got a Hag Witch of Death. Interesting on her sled. I forget that this is an option. There's no summon. Things in the Woods summon like you get with Lore of Beasts, but still, Spirit Leech plus Costaltines. Nice to see something a little different there. Oath Brothers. Some horse archers harassing these Nehekara horsemen, trying to kind of fend them off. Got Little Grom here as well, and some horse archers. So, yeah, let's get things rolling here. These Watchmen of the Night will definitely put a pounding on these skeletons, no problem. They're anti-infantry, high weapon strength. With Frenzy, up to 53 weapon strength, 55 melee attack. Just super strong stats in general. That said, they are relatively slow. They're going to have a hard time actually catching all the skeletons that they need to as they get a little bit surrounded there. Just in general, the Kislev line, obviously with the armor of the Kossars, is going to be trading very effectively. But let's see over here on the side. This engagement's going, yeah. The Nehekara horsemen not going to be able to stand against the Oath Brothers in any situation, let alone here with the Hag Witch and horse archers also putting in some extra arrows there. So things are already looking a little bit dicey, as the Chosen of the Gods have taken significant damage from Little Grom. That said, Little Grom now getting closed on by some Nehekara horsemen. The Ushabti Greatbows also firing, and the Tomb Kings are definitely wrapping on this right side, taking out the Watchmen of the Night with a nice Ushabti engagement here, and sort of the way the models are engaged too. It's like basically 1v1 with the Ushabtis and the Watchmen, which is not great for the Watchmen by any means. They are not monstrous infantry at all. So, it's interesting. Nice rear charge here, too. Hammer and Anvil coming in from the Nehekara Horsemen. While the skeletons are still alive, actually does manage to break the armored Kossars. I guess the Great Weapon's lower melee defense means they do get pounded pretty hard by those Ushabti once they come in to follow up. Ooh, there's even a random Zargard mixed in there. How about that? But, hey, what's up, Ryder? Good to see you. Yeah, we've got Sandstorm, Soulstorm, something. Skullstorm, something like that here in the middle. Forget the name of the actual effect, but Cathay unleashing some AoE magic damage. He also rides through, and the Tomb Kings are in a decent position right now. The fact that Nekara Horsemen got some physical resistance, were able to get through and pressure all these horse archers away, proc Fire Blood on literally all of them. You can see the skeletons, looks like they're getting an order perhaps to follow up. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but more skeleton horsemen YOLOing in as well. And, I mean, the Nekara Horsemen, outnumbered as they are, with the horse archers having pretty decent stats, they will get dragged down. Alas. Their leadership may give out before the skeletons completely crumble, and it looks like that will largely be the case, although some units do manage to get away. The Oath Brothers even are taking damage now, as the Ushabti Greatbows have dealt with a lot of targets they need to, can now focus on that high-value target. So things are looking pretty good for Cool Umbrella, although it was initially pretty dicey. A little Spirit Leech on Cathay from the Hag Witch. She runs around on her little chariot. It's not wildly effective, but it definitely exists. Watchman of the Night also getting pounded out. So yeah, the melee Ushabti really just taking it to Kislev. They did not have the appropriate answers in terms of armor-piercing missiles, or I guess Kislev doesn't really have halberds besides like the glaives of the Ice Guard, who are not, I don't know, maybe Ice Guard are actually secretly really good here, but I don't know, maybe like a staunch line of Streltsy would be where I would start for this matchup, just because their armor and stats make them a decent trade against skeletons. It's probably not super cost effective, but they'll probably do okay. Of course, armor-piercing missiles to take out constructs. I don't know. I'm certainly not a Kislev expert by any means, but I would probably end up going with like a 5 Streltsy build in this matchup, personally. Let me know what you guys think about that, but it's definitely looking pretty grim for the Tomb Kings. I mean, for Kislev, rather. Tomb Kings are in really nice position. Hey, what's up, Chris? Yeah, first stream of the month, actually, if you could believe it. I want to start getting streams in at least maybe once a week, maybe once every other week, to start kind of dipping my toes back into this live casting world, but bring Ice Guard. Yeah, they'll trade badly with Ushabti Greatbows. That's definitely true, but I guess if you have Little Grom, one Little Grom or two maybe to cover for the advance, you can kind of do damage and maybe draw some of the fire of the Ushabti Greatbows away. One Little Grom and maybe 2 Glaive Ice Guard. That's a serious spend though, and with the faction that has expensive units, relatively speaking, like Kislev, that would be forcing you probably to go with like a lot of light cavalry, and you'd have to kind of change the build construction. I'd have to think about that a little bit, but yeah. I mean, I guess the Little Grom was already here anyway. I don't hate the pick of the Oath Brothers here. So I'd probably keep them. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can theorycraft a build after this. Frostbite, Ice Sheet might make it work. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's always nice to see these players playing tournament games. We've got some meme games from Slade lined up for today, so we've got a nice selection variety for you guys. Yeah, I think I might even have a 2v2 in there somewhere we could look at. So let's see here. Kislev player is holding on pretty admirably, but let's fast forward as their horse archers kind of run around. They're going to get caught by Ushabti there, which is not ideal. Cathay using his own mobility to catch this unit of horse archers and unleash Skullstorm? Sandstorm? Let's get it right here. Sandstorm. Skullstorm is the actual spell, right? From Lord of Nehek. Anyway. Yeah, the Oath Brothers are still alive here. Surprisingly enough, they managed to close on one Ushabti Greatbow and get in melee there. They're going to also do a lot of damage to this other Ushabti. I don't know, maybe. I guess with Constantine healing and buffing them, these Oath Brothers could potentially hang on for quite some time. But I think the biggest thing is, with the Ushabti, if they're able to fight with this spear support here, these skeleton spears are going to trade super cost efficiently. Yeah, and you can see the Oath Brothers slowly getting ground down over time there, and eventually it's going to be victory for the Tomb Kings. Oh yeah, Stormrunner. I'm sure I'm sure my replay folder is going to be just even blasted full after this. And yeah, we'll see. I might get onto some late submissions, certainly. But, oh shoot, forgot to go over the army values. You know what happened there. Let's just move on, because Khorne's next, and Khorne versus Tomb Kings is an interesting matchup, very loreful for the campaign map, at least. Scarbrand, of course, starting right right near Khemri, actually, pretty close. So, yeah, sorry about that, guys. I'll get the values on the next one. It's okay. If I had to guess, probably a lot of the values on the shop team. But anyway, we're looking for similar results here, although certainly looks to be more of a defensive build. We do have a couple Tomb Guard Halberds mixed in here also this time, and the Kepler Guard. So a little bit of a different roster construction, no cavalry, much more defensive against the hordes of Khorne, which to a degree makes sense. We've got some Chaos Warriors of Khorne. Don't see these guys super often, but in this matchup they do make a lot of sense. They're going to be able to blend any skeletons in their heavy armor, keep them safe from a lot of incidental damages. Yeah, maybe it would have brought a couple halberds though, knowing the primacy of Ushabti. That said, I guess they're relying on these Minotaurs. 3 Minotaurs, great weapons. That's some serious anti-large AP with some Fleshhounds and Warhounds scattered around the back for some mobility. So let's see here. I don't know. Against the Ushabti Greatbows, I'm trying to think. I don't think the Skull Cannon would be a decent pick here. Maybe maybe if you use it to actually try and snipe the Lord, perhaps. It does fire damage, of course, but you're going to run out of ammunition pretty quickly, and then it'll need to advance and act as a chariot in melee, which can be decent for some disruption. But yeah, I don't know. I'm certainly not a Khorne player. I don't play them often at all. Oof, look at that damage, though. That was nasty from Cathay, just raining it in there. A Spear Slot here also going to hit that Kepler Guard, although notice that it doesn't actually kill any unit models. It does a huge amount of HP damage, but does not actually kill any unit models, so of course they're going to be able to regenerate all of that HP potentially if left undamaged for the rest of the fight, which of course is not going to happen, but still they'll be able to regenerate quite a bit of that HP. So let's see, Khorne definitely taking some brutal damage on the assault here, down to like half HP on a number of their infantry units here, but still looking to potentially make contact, trying to draw the Ushabti out with Valkia here, it looks like. But, oh man, wow, DJ Kotep just absolutely dunking on this infantry right now. Let's see his value already on that casket. Up to 68 kills, 800 damage value, so pretty much has killed one unit of Chaos Warriors full in terms of value, right? So, oh, look at this nice sneaky hound play, though, getting through the side, interrupting those Ushabti Greatbows, also trying to just deck the Skeleton Warriors, non-anti-large in the center. Warhound's also punching through here, getting on the Chosen of the Gods, and will they be able to get through Kotep himself? That is largely the goal, I would think, of Khorne, is to try and interrupt Kotep's shooting and protect that infantry. But the Warhounds won't last too long, of course. They're relatively low leadership, and even in the front line, I mean, the Chaos Warriors, once they're able to get into combat, are going to punch those skeletons super hard, no question. But yeah, they're going to be taking those skulls and just putting them right on their armor. Just, you know, just grab it with their bare hand, just chunk, put it right in the shield. At least that's what I would do. Yeah, looks like another Sandstorm going to be unleashed there. Not going to do a crazy amount of damage due to Khorne's spell resistance, but every little bit helps, certainly. Let's see, the Halberds are holding out okay. Managed to push back the Warhounds. Fleshhounds are still in here fighting and disrupting this back line. Valkia also dives on Kotep, so a lot of danger here for, ooh, yeah, the Minotaurs also massacring this unit of Ushabti. Tomb King showing how they are just severely outclassed by Khorne in melee right now, but they get their healing. They've got Realm of Souls now for one more unit of Ushabti just to try and pad up their numbers a little bit and create some extra mass in here. Valkia does count as infantry size, so if the Ushabti are able to kind of circle beat her, that anti-infantry bonus will apply. Right? 79 weapon strength with an extra 8 bonus versus infantry is not a ton, but certainly if they were able to get us around, it would be a decent amount. That said, the Minotaurs punch in here. They're going to countercharge and make sure those Ushabti cannot get us around and fight, especially with that heavy Chaos Warrior infantry support. It's not looking great for the Tomb Kings right now. Those Tomb Guard Halberds definitely have their work cut out for them and trying to kill all the Minotaurs and Fleshhounds and everything else. As a Cathay again tries to float on away on his bone pile here. It's free Skull Estate, basically. Looks like we've got Incantation of Cursed Blades on those Tomb Guard, try and juice up their weapon strength as they do a little bit more damage, but looks like they are actually chasing Valkia. Oh, the Khorne sword drop. This is going to be a nice one. Just absolutely finishes a number of Tomb Kings units here, leaving those Ushabti completely without support. Yeah, and all of a sudden what was looking pretty dicey for the Minotaurs, they're able to win out in that fight. And there's still some halberds over here. The halberds, I mean, it's good they didn't take that damage from that sword drop, but they definitely need to. Just don't even worry about it. I mean, Kathep's time is numbered anyway. There's maybe you can surround Valkia and stop her up here, but I'm pretty sure she'll be able to make her way out. Yeah, considering kind of the thinness of this formation of this one part, maybe. Maybe she'll get properly stuck. But Cathay trying to buy himself some more time, cast another spell to get a little bit of healing there. 250 HP and yeah, this one literally just happened. This is from today's Friday Night Fights. So this was like an hour ago, maybe. But yeah, the Minotaurs, oof. It's Minotaur plus Chaos Warrior of Khorne. I mean, it's super simple, but it works, which is just absolutely Khorne's MO. And ends up winning out here. So despite the damage taken on that advance, Cathay definitely proving some impressive value early on in the game, just was not enough later on. And this is definitely a matchup where Tomb King's single entities being basically unusable, it makes it real tough because, like, your good answers, I mean, Ushabti are okay, but they get just outclassed here, right? You need something bigger and heavier. And unfortunately, the tools that are bigger and heavier are largely just not very good. I mean, maybe you could take a Titan here, try and buff it, and really just grind it out. Or, I mean, maybe double War Sphinx, right? Those ones are pretty decent. But, yeah, all said and done there. Great game to both players. Cathay gets some decent value despite getting absolutely gooned. The Ushabti definitely struggle more in this matchup. Definitely, due to Khorne's superior melee capability, and the Minotaurs definitely make their presence felt. Also love the pick of the Warriors. Again, they can just chop down as many skeletons as they need to, despite having taken massive damage. And then, of course, the backline harass from the Hounds was on point as well. So, yeah, fun one for sure. Nice little series between, or I guess, a couple of replays from Cool Umbrella. Maybe Sneck-based combat. I mean, the Snecks are pretty good. Again, they kind of have low melee attack, and they're anti-large. I don't think it's going to be... I guess Khorne does have relatively low melee defense, but I don't know. I'm just not convinced. Maybe. Okay. This is the one I just casted yesterday, so we can delete that. And we can also delete these two, since I just casted them. Okay, here's one from a newer player. Maverick Marauder on Discord. Submitted these a few weeks ago. He submitted me a few replays featuring the Greenskins, and he had been workshopping sort of an all-comers build. I guess he's a Greenskins tabletop player as well. And of course, in tabletop, generally, you know, with the way the tournaments work, you just create your list and then enter, right? It's not like you can tailor your army on a per faction basis. So here, we're going to see him up against very interesting Dark Elf army. A lot of Witch Elves here, and some Corsairs, which is honestly really interesting. We've also got the Bloodrack Shrine and Crone Hellebron Lore of Fire. Let's see here with just Burning Heads, so looking for that nice AoE damage, although there is somewhat of a lack of staying power. We've also got Manticore. Yeah, Hellebron also on the Manticore. So first of all, the Vanguard is pretty nice here. It does give you a lot of surprise, which is often going to force, especially like in newer player tournaments, right? It's going to force mistakes, which is an easy way to try and get ahead and try and force your opponent into an uncomfortable situation. Although it can be a little bit risky, of course, vanguarding so far forward. But we've also got some Spider Riders in the far corner there, some Squig Herds, and some River Trolls. Interesting choice. Yeah, Grom the Paunch is always good, and an Orc Shaman. Hard to go wrong there, although Lore of Death is quite solid as well for the Troll Hag as well, of course. But Gonna get a just straight up charge here. Combos just YOLOing in, and I didn't catch if they were able to get the Fanatics off or not. Certainly the Fanatics against these low armor Sisters of Singing Doom and Witch Elves would be absolutely devastating, but quantity has a quality all its own, and as more goblins and the river trolls start to rush in, the Witch Elves are definitely going to feel some pain. That Fanatics cast, unfortunately, just barely misses. Could have been absolutely devastating side shot there, but, you know, sometimes in the heat of the battle, you misclick. Certainly happens to me all the time. Squig herds also surrounding in here, and 8-peak loons, warlords boys. Yeah, these Witch Elves, Sisters of Singing Doom even, are taking some serious pain. Focus fire from the archers on the Bloodrack Shrine is also really good. Honestly, this thing is too far forward. Should really be sitting back and using its ranged attack to try and fire in as much as possible. Likewise, Hellebron and the Manticore a little bit late to drop down and try and get terror routes, which they definitely could have if they were able to get some rear charges in here a little bit earlier. But WAD now being popped at the same time as Murderous Prowess, so both armies on a huge power spike. Kind of negates, honestly, the effects of both of them, but Murderous Prowess will last much longer. Nice Spider Rider charge in here into these light Witch Elves. The blue hair Witch Elves, I have to say, have to be some of the best looking ones. Very good stuff. Yeah, I love that color scheme for the Dark Elves. But Hellebron looks like, is she getting stagger locked perhaps by the Rusty Airs there? No. Just having a hard time deciding where to drop. Again, 2v1 to try and maybe drop on Grom. Like, you could terrify away these river trolls, route the squig herds, isolate Grom. Granted, you are within range of those archers, but these Witch Elves potentially could come collapse here, or you could even pressure with the Corsairs in melee, right? Just run forward, and due to their armor and stats, I mean, they'll handily beat the Rusty Airs in melee, right? So you could almost use them as kind of a pseudo-light cavalry in that role due to their speed. 40 speed, certainly fast enough to catch Rusty Airs, but yeah, let's see here. Grom the Paunch with his troll squad having no problem taking out the Sorceress. Manticore finally drops down on the Rusty Airs, going to be able to probably tear route them off fairly quickly, but Dark Elves just waited a little bit too long to get Khorne and the Manticore involved. Let's see, ew, is there going to be a nice Foot of Gork here? Might as well use it if you've got the magic. It was a decent hit, not the best, but it did get some damage in, certainly. And Foot of Gork, I don't remember the armor piercing values, actually, on Foot of Gork. I don't remember. I think it's actually pretty bad, honestly. In terms of armor piercing damage, yeah, only 33%. You would think it would be higher for some reason. I would think this would be like up to 60% to 100% armor piercing almost. And certainly that would be a change which would benefit the Greenskins if that were to take place. But regardless, did get some decent damage there, and the Durkit Squigs are going to be really good. Just Squig Hoppers in general would be a great unit for chasing down Corsairs, right? They've got shields, I think, right? Do they? No, they actually don't have shields. I stand corrected. But do have a little bit of missile resistance, of course, speed, anti-infantry, and armor piercing, all of which are well suited to taking down those Corsairs. So relatively quick one. But this Greenskins build definitely has some promise. I will say relying too much on the goblins as a front line can be risky, although it's something I do as well. Yeah, the goblins, if they get leadership shocked, like in that battle, if Khorne had gotten a decisive initial push, like with the big melee attack buff and some rear charges, they could have broken one goblin flank and rolled it up pretty quickly. So it is risky. We'll talk about a few things and maybe how to refine this build. Certain units here are immune to psychology or unbreakable, like the 8-peak loons. The warlords boys are immune to psychology. I believe all squigs and squig hoppers are immune to psychology as well. So you've got some decent leadership going there for you, but a lot of goblins in this build. The trolls also leadership relatively poor, and river trolls in general are not the best. Stone trolls are generally much better because of a few different instances. And since this is a newer player's replay, let me just quickly talk about why that is, as they may not know. So just on paper, right? The river trolls are less expensive, right? They're 200 points less expensive, but the main thing, stone trolls, well, not only have they have more weapon strength and armor, both of which are super important, but in particular, they've got missile and spell resistance, both of which are very good. In particular, the missile resistance combined with the armor means they take relatively little damage from non-armor piercing Ranged units, like, for example, the Corsairs there, would do almost nothing to them. Leadership is basically the same, which is a bit of a problem, but one thing you could do also, right, in that build is, like, you cut one River Troll and upgrade it to a Stone Troll, cut the other River Troll and actually upgrade it to the Regiment of Renown, right? That way you still get this Overwhelming Odor debuff, plus Poison, both of which are pretty good. Not to mention Regiment of Renown leadership, and, very importantly, Terror on the Swamp Things, the Regiment of Renown. Any unit that causes terror is also immune to terror by default. They count as immune to psychology, so as a result, this unit will have much better leadership and will be able to hang in the fight against those terror-causing monsters much better than basic trolls or, you know, river trolls. So it's definitely something to consider there. But overall, like the build quite a bit, like the Vanguard shenanigans. Definitely a good way to catch people off guard and kind of swing things in your favor from the outset. So next up, we've got Tequila Sunset with Cathay Rush build. Hello, Skip to Malu, Gojira, Nep, GS. Yes, I am live streaming, indeed. The rare Dov Plays live stream. Small world, right? Well, you get some tips too then. I mean, so that's the great thing about this community, is it's relatively small, and people end up knowing each other, and, like, you get featured on replays even if you don't submit them. And it's great, you know, everyone gets wins and losses on the channel, and we try and be nice and equal about everything. And yeah, so I am a big fan of improving yourself, right? And really, I don't know, like, I was just talking about this with my personal trainer this morning, actually. It's like, you know, there's a struggle, and there's an amount of pain and suffering that comes with improving yourself. It doesn't have to be. A lot of it can be awesome and fun, and it should be awesome and fun for the most part. But yeah, losing sucks. I'll admit that as much as the next person. But that's the way you learn sometimes. Like, I was also talking about this with Ryder Rohan as well. Like, it's intrinsic to the process that you'll get your ass kicked. Like, anyway, Cathay Rush build here. So right off the bat, we've got the Righteous Lances of Wei Jin, 2 Crowmen as limited by Fruit rules. We've got the Regiment of Renown and 1 unit of regular Crowmen. We've got some Jade Lancers, a Jet Lion for some harmony here, with some Jade Warriors in the front line, and it looks like Zhao Ming, the Iron Dragon. And fittingly enough, I mean, literally, again, campaign start lore bonus here. Deathmaster Snitch with a Warlock Engineer, Warp Lightning Cannons, Clan Rat Spears, Natty Bubo Sharpshooters, and Council Guard Storm Vermin in the back. A couple of Rat Ogres. We've got an Assassin here as well. It's just a balanced Skaven diet here for Zhao Ming to chew on. Doing well, Gojira. Doing well. Honestly, been enjoying life quite a bit lately. Loving the land battle scene as well, man. A lot of people are just killing it. Absolutely killing it. So looks like we're going to see a Flensing Ruin right off the bat on Zhao Ming. He's also going to get Deathmaster Sigils, so Skaven going all in on the damage early on Zhao Ming, trying to proc Van Braces and just get it over with. But here comes Jet Lion, just boops Deathmaster, and then he gets bowled over by Cavalry, and it's just, you know, when you're a light little rat boy, you have some hard times. But what is hitting? Oh, it's the Jet Lion. I was like, why? What's going on with this Warp Lightning Cannon? Then I realized that's right. That's right. This thing has a cast of Missile Mirror, which was just used to great effect to reflect some of the Warp Lightning Cannon's shots back onto itself. Let's see if the same thing happened over on this other side here. Looks like probably not. I think this Jet Lion still has its use of Missile Mirror. Yep, still has the one-time use of that, so could run over there and get it done. But I love that Missile Reflect use. In this matchup in particular is definitely a good one to use it. I don't know. Natty Bubos would also be, for this Jet Lion, a great one to just throw it on real quick. They're close. They're trying to get some shots off. Oh, no, they're not actually shooting that much right now, but ooh, the little bomb drop from the Empress Crowman, and they're going to drop on the Giselles. So you don't even need to reflect their shots if you just kill them, right? So, little Crow Bros getting in here with their Look at their little stance. They're holding a little kettlebell. Anyway. Yeah, it's a big old mess right now. Skaven are having leadership issues, which, again, the sun shines in the morning. These things are obvious, but, yeah, in general, Skaven running for the hills. We're going to see Jade Lancers following up to try and chase down as many as they can. Likewise with the Crowmen as well. Righteous Lances. So, that said, the balance of power is still relatively even, as Snitch is doing just fine. And a lot of these other units, Council Guard, Plague of Rust on them from Zhao Ming. And look at these Crowmen just absolutely duking it out here with the Council Guard. This is a Regiment Renown matchup I didn't know I needed to see, but here we are. It's definitely an awesome one. Who knows? This one I may end up casting again as a video, because it's pretty cool, honestly. Cathay Rush build. Haven't had a lot of Cathay victories on the channel lately, so fun one for sure. But, yeah, the AoE drain from the Warlock Engineer is doing a little bit of damage. He's up to, like, 870 value. You can see that slowly ticking up over time. That Warpstone armor doesn't do a ton of damage, but it is some damage, certainly, over time. And it's working in a Skaven's favor as this game kind of drags on here. Like, Zhao has healing. Nothing else really does, though. So, not really a good way to counteract that. But nice Warp Lightning there. Just chunks down some Jade Warriors. And the Rat Ogres and the Triads. Spears also rushing in. Even these anti-large units against the Jade Warriors, because of that Weeping Blade taking away half of their armor, they're going to suffer pretty badly because of that. Definitely Jade Warriors do rely on that armor. Oh yeah, Helibaron Glass Cannon, heavy infantry builds. It's fun. It's fun playing thematic builds, you know. There's no need to always play super sweaty. And certainly we'll have the legend himself, Slade, featured today. Some more replays, but first, gotta get this pretty Chad Cathay build out of the way, honestly. I do enjoy Cathay Rush and Heavy Cavalry. It's just kind of the static defensive Cathay builds that don't interest me as much, but certainly this has been one that has been very aggressive. Zhao continuing to push through here. Hasn't even hit the transform once. I mean, there is Howling Warp Gale, I would imagine, from that Warlock Engineer, if he's still hanging around. Yep. At least for now. He is surrounded by the Righteous Lances, so we'll see. No, actually, he does not have Howling Warp Gale, just Flensing Ruin. So, he could transform into the Dragon form and have relative impunity to just fly around and get terror routes. Which, honestly, at this point, it would probably be pretty good to do so. I mean, the Skaven are getting pretty low. Their leadership it's not looking great right now, so this would be a pretty opportune time if you did want to hit that transformation. Just for the terror, purely, honestly. But, let's see. He might not need it, honestly, the way things are looking. Multiple mobile units collapsing on this final pocket here. Nope, the Crowmen are going to swing on out to try and deal with some of these regrouping units. Can't let those clan rats get back in the fight. Nicely placed magic from Zhao as well. And looks like Snitch and his assassin getting back in here as well. They are both in good health and good spirits. I don't know, Cathay is actually looking a little thin right now. It's looking a little dangerous, perhaps. But the thing is, a lot of the Skaven support units, they're not going to last, right? Like, they'll get in here and almost immediately rout. So let's fast forward a little bit through this end phase. I think he did take 2 jet lines, actually. I just think I forgot to highlight the second one in the intro, but yes, I'm pretty sure he actually did have 2. But let's see here. Yeah. Zhao gets netted and beat up a little bit, but still hasn't even had Bam Brace proc. He has the Bam Braces, right? Does he not? He doesn't even have the Bam Braces. What's going on here? Is it banned in fruit rolls? Can someone inform me? Or did he just forget to take them? Regardless, that's potentially a pretty fatal mistake. He does eventually switch to the Dragon Transform for the Terror. And, ooh, he's going to take some huge damage here, though, and the scaling damage from Snitch is almost enough to do him in. Now it's just him versus the Assassin, but he does manage to actually finish Snitch, and that is going to be a leadership victory. So, almost actually lost it there at the end if Senor Skaven here had been able to get a few more lucky hits with Snitch actually and kill Zhao there. I think all of a sudden the balance of power just swings fully back in the other direction. Skaven actually do win that. Maybe closer than it looked, but yeah, fun game for sure. Definitely love this Cathay rush build here. Double Jet Lions, interesting, even though raw value-wise they didn't quite pay for themselves. If you add the value in from the Missile Reflect, killing like 500 points worth of Lightning Cannon at least in one instance, this one probably paid for itself. The Crowmen, of course, are just insane. They are very, very strong, especially the Regiment of Renown, if used correctly. The rest of the units are just kind of here, you know, they do their part. Crossbows help take out the Warp Lightning Cannons as well. Snitch, of course, is going to get some insane value. Council Guard, despite getting mauled, also do a decent enough job. Warp Lightning Cannons are an interesting play. They do not pay for themselves, but the Warlock Engineer, I think his drain is actually the same like amount of damage as the Plague Furnace now. So, yeah, might as well just take him. He's much cheaper. Yeah, Eshin Triads do a nice job as well. It's just a fun game overall, for sure. For sure. So let's go on to the next one. Like I said, it's from the legendary Slade himself. And who needs a caster? Certainly not him. Not when he's fighting the Dwarfs, who also didn't bring a caster. I mean, yeah, they have the rune casters now, which you probably should always bring at least one, but it's a pretty Chad build, I have to say. Ungrim and just hammerers and some artillery, and yeah. It's a wild build on both sides, so...
My rule is absolute.
Also love the hero squad here, just the absolute lads. Gotrek, Felix, and the Emperor. All foot slogging it across the waist here. And then, of course, the Free Company and Huntsman in Vanguard, along with Zintler's Reichsguard. Oh, is that a Gyro Bomber? Very interesting. Gyro Bombers actually were, like, really good for a period of time at sniping single entities, and especially, like, single entity chariots, specifically, which you would definitely see a lot of against the Dwarves. Less common now, but let's see how it does. I actually haven't tested this thing out that much in Warhammer 3, so I'm curious to see how it goes here. We've also got Grudge Throwers, Hammerers, Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, some Slayers, and a single Thunderer with 2 organ guns, and yeah, so... Foot Carl, that's going into the book. Hero Hammer plus Daka Kite, something like that. Although I have a feeling these Free Company are just going to charge. Like, knowing Slade, I don't know how much shooting they're going to do. I have a feeling they're just going to YOLO straight in here, but let's see. Sterling's Revenge leading the way with their armor-piercing pistols. Force fire while they're advancing. Going to do some decent damage. Longbeards have taken maybe an 8th so far. Slayers, of course, lacking armor, will take quite a bit more from the regular Free Company. But, yeah, as I thought, Slade is mostly just going to run forward here. I mean, it's not like he's necessarily full-on YOLO charging, but pulling some of these units out and absolutely gunning them down is definitely a nice play. No idea what that Gyro Bomber is doing over there, but Gotrek, Carl, and Felix moving in. The Gotrek fighting the Dwarfs is definitely going in the book. Absolutely, especially on the side of the filthy humans. Yeah, sometimes those games go fast. If you both go like heavy rush builds or light rush builds, I should say, maybe like glass cannon rush builds is maybe a better way to put it. Yeah, the game can be over very quickly. It's like Norska versus Slaanesh. It's like, okay, 3.5 minutes max, you're done, you know? So let's take a look at the broad battlefield as the Zintler's Reichsguard attempt to collapse this artillery pocket. Unfortunately, they were blocked by an absolute mass of Dwarfs. This Free Company could potentially run in here, though, and get on the artillery. Likewise, we got some Huntsmen here also who could potentially run through and get on that artillery. But let's see. Right? Gyro Bomber's just like, nope, I'm not shooting him. See you guys. Anyway, yeah, slowly these units getting ground down as they kind of filter out. And honestly, Dwarfs sticking to their artillery is probably the right call, and just defending that. But Slade here are going to get his Zintlers out, try and maybe maneuver them up and around. Unfortunately, those Free Company kind of lost their chance as they get gunned down by the organ guns and the Grudge Thrower there. Yeah, this artillery is going to be tough for Slade to crack. He's got to get forward with those Huntsmen or something in order to shoot the artillery crews or otherwise indispose them. But, oh no! No, what are you doing, Dwarf player? Don't do that. Don't target these single entities with your Grudge Throwers. That's a terrible idea. They're going to have a very tough time hitting those single entities. Not that it'll matter, because the trusty Zintlers are going to land home a charge at just the right time. Silence this unit of Grudge Throwers, at least. But then these other Free Company coming forward. Again, Dwarf artillery crews don't have much armor, so all the Free Company need to do is just shoot them. Although, personally, if I was armed with a pistol and I was, like, standing off against an actual organ gun, I wouldn't be too confident, honestly, you know? But, it is what it is. Huntsman also raining in some shots there into the Thunderers. And, yeah, one artillery crew getting gatted down. The arrows of the Huntsmen, especially now, given they've taken relatively little damage, can be effective taking out some of these higher value targets. But some of this expensive heavy infantry as well is going to be very tough to crack. We'll see. There's still lots of Longbeards, Dwarf Warriors. Hammerers are mostly gone. They are currently getting ground down by Carl and the lads. But looks like the lads will rout the Hammerers and then move on to the next target. So, I don't know. These three can definitely grind out a lot of infantry. The balance of power is starting to reflect that, as one organ gun and one Grudge Thrower still online. Huntsman still closing the door. Grudge, the Gyro Bomber, yep, still very much in reserve. Yeah, ferocious firepower on both sides, absolutely. It is quite the shootout, must be said. But let's stay in close and watch as these units shoot it out. Organ guns. Finally, crew being routed off by the fire of the Empire there, and the Huntsman getting a few more shots of those tattered Thunderers out in the distance. Uh-oh, looks like Ungrim's in trouble as he fights a little Slayer duel here. Carl just like getting some side swipes in here, just most unchivalrous. Gotrek takes a few friendly arrows. But, yeah, this 3v1 is not going to go well for Ungrim at all. I think, I don't know, can Gotrek just beat Ungrim by himself in a 1v1? I would think Ungrim would be slightly better, but I think Gotrek honestly probably still has a chance to win. Hard to say. But certainly 3v1, it's not going to be close, especially with the healing of Felix. And with Ungrim going down, that is going to be the dagger for the leadership, and immediately the Dwarfs see army losses. The Gyro Bomber did eventually come in for a late game bombing run. Only if only it got involved a little bit sooner. Bombed out some of those Huntsmen. But honestly, if it was flying around close to that gun line, it probably would have got gunned down pretty quickly. Gyro Bombers do not have much HP. But fun one for sure from Slade. Absolutely, absolutely legendary player. And proves that again in this battle. Look at that. One Free Company, 1230. Rank 9 Free Company. You gotta respect. Gotta respect that Free Company. Yeah. Many times I've looked in dismay as Witch Elves evaporate running into that. Yes, definitely. I love me some Free Company and Pistoliers against Witch Elves. I'll tell you what, as an Empire player. Okay, let's see here. This one is from Rider of Rohan. But I'm going to actually go grab a drink, take like a 5-minute break. We'll be right back with some more replays, so don't go anywhere. Just stick it. I was going to say stick it right here, but that actually sounds like something else entirely. So keep it right here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Alright, hope you all got a drink of water, stretch your legs, grab a snack, whatever you need to do to enhance your enjoyment of these next few replays. But, yeah, we're going to go straight in. Rider Rohan sent me this one, and I agree, this is an absolute Chad Wood Elf build. Triple Wild Rider, double Dragon, 3 Spear Dancers, and 3 Starfire Shafts. That's it. I'd imagine this is Lore of Life. We'll see. Maybe Lore of High Magic, perhaps. Anti-Kaiju coming in hot with Nurgle. He's got double Exalted Hero with a Sorcerer, triple Knights, and then just 10 Chaff, basically. That's it. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. 5 Nurglings, 5 Marauders, 3 Knights, 2 Champions, and a Chaos Sorcerer. Yeah, this is Lore of Life. Yeah, I figured as much. High isn't wildly useful in this matchup, so... Oh yeah, just get my seating adjusted here. Sorry for my squeaky chair, if you could hear that. But let's see, Rider Rohan, known for being aggressive with his lord on the initial phase of the battle, certainly. Kind of pulls it forward here and then pulls it back. We're going to see a Rancid Visitations immediately get put on the Spellweaver, just to kind of put them on the back foot. The Unicorn, though, a lot of people don't realize this. The Unicorns actually have heavy spell resistance. It used to be actually straight-up magic resistances, which is one of the things that made the Fey Enchantress so broken in Warhammer 2. But as it is right now, with that Opal Amulet giving an extra 20% damage resistance on top of it, Rancid Visitations did almost nothing, especially for the cost, and the Wild Riders getting a beautiful frontline charge, Dragons just going straight into the Knights. I actually respect that so much from Rider Rohan here. In many situations, you want to just attack your greatest threats, right? It's target priority, you know, threat priority, whatever you want to call it, but just going straight after the Knights here, preventing them from really getting a good charge, and then immediately being able to reinforce with these Spear Dancers. Just great play. Meanwhile, the rest of the build is just hitting and running and not really giving a straight engagement, right? Some nice charges in with the Wild Riders, and then immediately pull back, pull the Starfires back, pull these other Spears back to make sure they can protect in case this other Knight dives in. Some really expert play here from Rider Rohan so far, and kind of managing a much larger army with his relatively small, focused force. And it looks like one Knight is just about down already. This other unit of Knights is looking charge on in here. We've got the Spears in a perfect position to try and counteract them. Even if they do end up kind of getting charged themselves a little bit here, it'll be okay. They can countercharge back in. The Wild Riders just bypass and go straight into the squishy Marauders, and especially the Nurglings, they can just crush, and then their leadership will take care of the rest as the Nurglings just crumble away. But Double Dragon here is forced to reinforce the Spellweaver, as she takes some serious damage in melee from the Exalted Hero and the Sorcerer. It is going to also open up these characters to some Starfire Shaft focus fire, though, and being Elves, they certainly are accurate enough with their bows to consistently hit those single entities, so it's going to be a tough situation, potentially. But still an Exalted Hero here, and these Knights of Nurgle trying to get away. Lots of Nurglings and Marauders coming in waves up the side as the Anti-Kaiju kind of reacts to the situation here. And he's able to get his Knights back, disrupt the Starfires momentarily. And unfortunately for him, though, there's a lot of Spear Dancers in that local area, and those Knights are going to take some serious damage for that disruption. So let's see. Looking pretty dicey, but I like this Shield of Thorns here. That basically is going to reflect any successful hits. Now keep in mind, the unit they're fighting does have to be making successful hits, which is why it's generally good to cast it on a unit with relatively low melee defense, such as Wild Riders. If they're stuck in melee and are not going to be able to escape effectively, they're going to be sacrificed anyway. You might as well let them go out with the maximum possible damage. You see those Chaos Knights took a lot of damage. Of course, you've got the Spear support as well, that Forest Dragon Breath, but again, against those really strong elite units, every little bit of damage you can get in there helps. And those Wild Riders were doomed anyway, so we might as well make the most of their demise. I really like that quite a bit. Yeah, Shield of Thorns, not a spell you see super often, but can be quite strong if used correctly. Like Bretonnia, for example, right? You get some peasant mobs, and you just YOLO charge them in and cast Shield of Thorns, and as long as they actually stay in the fight long enough, like as long as their leadership doesn't immediately buckle, they will actually get a pretty good amount of damage out just from the Shield of Thorns because they're taking so many hits. But again, it does require your unit to actively be taking hits, so it's not good to cast Shield of Thorns on something with high melee defense. You're generally not going to get good value from it, but look at this. Here's some tricky maneuvering. Looks like the Chaos Sorcerer Lord is mostly isolated. Nope, it's actually going to turn into a 3v2 fight as both the Exalted Heroes get in there. Looks like the Spellweaver is going to throw a regrowth onto the War Dancers here. Or no, actually another Shield of Thorns. Interesting. Okay, so I said wasn't that great against units with high melee defense, and certainly they do have high melee defense. Not going to be taking a ton of hits here, but they are taking some hits. And yeah, because of their low melee output, I guess it's just kind of a way to augment a little bit of extra damage on them. So interesting. Bounce power slightly in the Wood Elf's favor at this point, as both the dragons are still quite healthy, and the Nurgle Sorcerer Lord now gets routed. Wild Riders can chase him off very cost effectively, and looks like some more dragon breaths into the blob of Marauders here. Marauders normally trade super cost-effective against a unit like War Dancers, but with the dragons obviously getting involved, it's been a tough out for them, although certainly the War Dancers have suffered against the numbers of Nurgle here generally. But the Knights have been dealt with, and those are by far the most threatening part of this build, really the only threatening part of this build, but army loss is going to kick in for Nurgle. That will be a victory for Rider of Rohan's Wood Elves. Yeah, the dragons breaking up and disrupting, being able to kind of like slide your entire formation and attack one side of a wide formation. It took Anti-Kaiju some time to wheel the rest of his infantry around to get to threaten kind of the side of that Wood Elf formation. So really excellent play from Rider of Rohan there, I have to say. Again, a very small focused build playing against a much wider build. Really kind of textbook example of just you overload up on one side, try and focus your value in one place so you can break quickly and then roll up the rest of the army. And it ended up working out pretty well. Both the dragons get some nice value there. I'd imagine the War Dancers, yeah, 1,300, 1,500. Really good against those Chaos Knights. So, strong build overall. I really like it. The Knights get countered well by the Wild Riders, plus the War Dancers. Granted, it's a lot more expensive of a combination, which is why, again, you get the dragons to help kind of manage things. But I love that from Rider Rohan. Big thanks for sending that one in. We've got another one from him here. This time it's High Elves versus Bretonnia. I didn't cast this one, did I? I thought about casting this one, but I don't think I actually did. No. There was another Bretonnia game that I'm probably going to end up casting, but yeah, we'll show this one. Another High Elf game for Rider Rohan. Well, the other one was a Wood Elf game, but you all know what I mean. So Nep tested it. Gyro Bomber can still snipe stuff if it's directly above it. Okay, good to know. Good to know. I mean, it's super squishy. Tricky, but Storm of Blades has minus 24 melee defense. Yeah, true. If you do activate Storm of Blades and then cast Shield of Thorns on them, great way to get some value for sure. Although you are going to be taking some damage on an expensive, relatively unit, so. Hey, Ronan, welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Elf main's gonna elf. I know, right? Yeah, that was, Hey, Foehammer. Looks like we're getting a little raid from Foehammer. Welcome to you and all your viewers. Let's take a look at this High Elf build real quick as it gets started. Oh my Bretonnia. Okay, so we've got some Phoenix Guard here. Makes a lot of sense. Staunch line of spears. A couple of Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. A couple of Archers to keep Bretonnia honest. Illyrian Reavers. Star Dragon and Olariel the Radiant. For Bretonnia, King Lewin up in the sky. 2 units of Grail Guardians. Plus 4 units of Knights of the Realm. And then 5 Peasant Mobs. With 4 Archers. Or 2? 2 Archers? Yeah, 2 Yeoman Archers. Super interesting choice. You don't see them often at all. Kind of like it, though, having the mobile bows to help support this very heavy cavalry force. But let's get it going. right off the bat. It's going to be just charges. Yep, Bretonnia charges up the side, into the side, disrupting this formation, trying to get back into this backline area and get at these missile units. The Reavers very bravely countercharge in, along with the Phoenix Guard. Phoenix Guard in particular, of course, are going to be great for holding out against the Grail Guardians, but they are kind of units designed to murder each other in a way. The Grail Guardians no longer have physical resistance, but they still have magic damage to counteract the Phoenix Guard's physical resistance, and of course heavy armor piercing damage now. But yeah, both players just YOLOing in more and more value, escalating this side engagement, so we'll keep it right here in cinematic mode. Yeah, as there is some other stuff happening there in the background, but it's mostly just mobs fighting spears, right? Like, we don't actually care about that. The Knights, though, pulling back with Lewin, trying to seek a better engagement. Going to pull up and around there, and Rider Rohan doing exactly what he should, which is instead of pursuing, he pulls back, staying close as much as possible to the archers, and in a protection position, which then allows him to get an okay block. He doesn't fully block this column of cavalry, but he's able to hold back quite a few of the unit models there. Dragons kind of side charging in, although nice angle for this other unit of Knights of the Realm to get in. Side charge here, shut down the bolt throwers once and for all, shut down some of these archers. Phoenix Guard trying again to get in, just avoid the peasant mobs, pretty much ignore them. So let's see here. Peasants versus the spearmen. I mean, let's be honest. If one peasant like accidentally kills a spearman with his shovel, it's going to be pretty impressive. The archers might be a little bit of an easier target, but even still, I mean, they're elves with martial prowess, so... yeah. High elves seem to do a lot better since they adjusted martial prowess. Oh, absolutely. I mean, they retained their stat buff for much longer, so it does make quite a bit of difference, but let's see. Lewin gonna hard land here. Rider Rohan gets a couple of attacks with the Lariel and the Star Dragon, but immediately has to pull away. Does not want to get surrounded there by the Grail Guardians, so instead choosing to pull back, get a little healing there, heals up lots of different units, and just quickly drop these peasant mobs and route them off so that your units can focus on fighting the important stuff, which is, of course, the heavy cavalry. What is a Star Dragon if not just a bunch of peasants? I mean, basically, you are what you eat, right? So I think you're technically correct. Now, how is this bolt thrower still online, man? I am quite impressed. This one bolt thrower in particular is still online. Nice sort of Khorne debuff, though, is going to hit a whole bunch of units all at the same time as the Knights kind of charge in here. Let's check on the Grail Guardians. So one Grail Guardian's just totally fine. The other Grail Guardian over here is also totally fine. The Knights of the Realm have been taking some damage over time, but even then, like, one unit also mostly fine. The Yeoman Archers just kind of sitting back, blinking into the artillery crews and the spearmen and whatever light armor targets they can go after. We'll see. The Phoenix Guard also are completely healthy at this point as well, and it looks like Alariel is going to start to unleash some Tempest in order to slow down Lewin and damage him a fair bit, as also looking to snipe the Lore of Life caster, Rider Rohan. If he can get rid of healing, that will obviously make a pretty big difference here, being able to actually kill the Grail Guardians in the late game. But let's see. He has a lot of targets to try and go after here. Lewin gets singled out in the air. 2v1. It's going to take some damage from the Star Dragon. Alariel kind of pulls back. It's going to come around for another charge, it looks like. But might have missed her attack order there, just barely. Instead, they're going to both peel this way. Let Bretonnia kind of do its thing there. A little bit of healing. And come try and drop this one isolated Grail Guardian. Yeah, looking pretty interesting right now. Definitely anyone's game at this point, although Bretonnia having the mobility initiative definitely gives them kind of a degree of control over the battle. We are going to fast forward at this point as the blob is starting to form, and basically what Rider Rohan needs to do is just stand firm and try and defend as best he can while counterpunching with the Lariel and the Star Dragon, you know, punishing wherever he can. But like here, this Phoenix Guard getting a little bit isolated from the rest of the army is a little bit dangerous. But let's see here. Yeah, they're going to get collapsed by multiple units. With Alariel and the Star Dragon around, they're going to be at significantly less risk. But you can see this other Phoenix Guard here with this absolute mob of support taking relatively little damage. Lewin is getting pretty close to his healing cap. If he falls, Bretonnia has some serious leadership issues. We saw a really nice Star Dragon breath there into that unit of Grail Guardians. And they are pretty effectively trapped in the blob of High Elves. So getting dragged down by the Phoenix Guard. Question is, will it be enough? They are getting some stand your ground from Lewin to increase their melee defense to like 80. Yeah, 83 melee defense with that active. Absolutely bonkers. This other unit of Grail Guardians down to about half HP. But I believe, yeah, Rider of Rohan did successfully snipe the Lore of Life caster. So there's no more healing available for Bretonnia. Lariel's likely getting low on magic at this point as well, so we'll see how much more healing she's able to do. But again, this will take some time. Bretonnian player doing what they should, which is to pick off any isolated targets, use up all the ammunition on the Mounted Yeoman, although I would probably use the ammunition on the Spearmen just to get rid of them, rather than on the Phoenix Guard. Like, I understand you're just trying to put as much damage as possible into the Phoenix Guard, that's not the Knights having to fight them in melee, but in my opinion, if you're able to get rid of the Spearmen, you then have the initiative to have your Knights charge the Phoenix Guard from multiple directions, and that's going to work out a little bit better. They'll just be able to get more hits directly out of the Phoenix Guard rather than having to soak, but the Spearmen are not really much for this world anyway. They're going to get chased off relatively quickly. But yeah, let's see here. Alariel, Star Dragon charge in once again. Bretonnia is going to give it everything they've got, all their horsemen, but still the Phoenix Guard stand firm. Big Sword of Khorne. Ooh, but Alariel herself gets sniped by Lewin while Sword of Khorne is active, and that is going to put a dent, obviously, in the High Elves' leadership. Will it end up mattering? Right now, the Star Dragon and the Phoenix Guard are completely fine. So we'll see. It might not end up mattering at all. But let's see what they're able to do with it. Lewin gets a charge in there. He's going to get some hits on the Star Dragon. Star Dragon's attack animation, unfortunately, carries it directly into the arms of the Grail Guardians, who are able to then fully surround the Phoenix Guard. I don't know. It doesn't look like they're actually getting an attack animation. Something is bugging out here based on what their attack order is targeted onto. They definitely need to be fighting the Grail Guardians right now, but instead they're all just kind of stutter-stepping and standing there. Most unfortunate. I do think something happened here where, yeah, see, now they're doing attack animations, at least a few of them. But for a while they were not, and I definitely think that significantly impacted things. The Star Dragon's now routed, and it's looking pretty grim for the High Elves, mainly because, as Rider Rohan will tell you, Phoenix Guard are not immune to psychology, which means they are potentially vulnerable to getting terror routed here. Especially as the Star Dragon continues to take more damage, they're going to feel their leadership threatened, and Bretonnia could possibly charge them from multiple angles to get maximum leadership shock. Let's see here. Right now, leadership is doing just fine. But the threat of terror rout is pretty real. So let's continue to fast forward as Lewin finishes off the Star Dragon there. Knights are going to cycle charge the Phoenix Guard a little bit. But all it takes for the Phoenix Guard is to get a little bit of damage on Lewin to take him out. Then the rest of the army will probably fall in a cascade of routes. But let's see here. Lewin charges in with the Knights. Sword of Khorne. Phoenix Guard are going to stand firm. Their melee defense being significantly debuffed does mean they're going to take quite a bit more damage, and one unit actually does terror rout while Sword of Khorne is active. Their armor and melee defense being significantly debuffed, of course. But Yeoman and this one unit of Grail Guardians, King Lewin himself, all desperately scrapping against Phoenix Guard to try and break their leadership. And it does look like they're starting to do some damage. Balance power turns, and yep, it's a terror rout. Poor Rider Rohan. Yeah, the dragon jump animation definitely costed him the game. I mean, there's a few other things maybe he could have done throughout the course of that battle to try and swing things in his favor, but he did a lot of things right. Almost everything right, and still lost, which is just Bretonnia for you. Yeah, that dragon, almost 4,000 damage value, and still was not enough. to win. Phoenix Guard also, again, 1,800, 2,000 damage value. Alarielle herself, 2,300. Still not enough to win, because that's just Bretonnia. Lewin himself, almost 4,000 damage value. Grail Guardians, 2,566, 1,780 on one. All the Knights of the Realm pretty much are going to pay for themselves. Well, at the very least, one of them does. And the Yeoman Archers are also a really nice pick. That is one thing. I don't see them super often, but they seem like there should be a strong cost-effective option as long as you use them correctly. Also, 200 points on Peasant Mobs. Like, let's go. Oh, what's up, Taco? Good to see you. Yeah, that was a game for sure. So these three I'm going to be casting separately as a High Elves versus Norska best of 3. That will probably go up tomorrow. But I do have a Norska game to show you guys, and it's against Demons of Chaos of all factions. Certainly an interesting, and it's one of yours, Pigman. So let's get to it here. Yeah, I think they would call that a freezing cold take nip. Yeah, Phoenix Guard, lacking immune to psychology. Of course, Alarielle does give immune to psychology, but with her being sniped, it was all over for them. But anyway, yeah, Norska. The Monster Hunter faction. They didn't bring any Javs, which I think is potentially a mistake in this matchup, but Marauders, Ice Wolves, we've got some Armored Skin Wolves as well. Beasts of Tashnar, looks like Throg and Lore of Fire. Pinks, or Blues rather, and Pinks as the infantry force. No surprises there. Exalted Great Unclean One. Got Screamers, Fleshhounds, 2 Fleshhounds, and the Heralds of Khorne's Fury, the Regiment of Renown. So it's going to be rolling out right away. Again, the lack of javelins I think is going to potentially be a big problem here. Like, normally I would say you should never take the Exalted Great Unclean One because of the threat of javelins in this matchup. But Norska didn't take any, but that's okay, Taco. I've got so many replays. I'm going to have, yeah, even after today, I'm still going to have loads and loads and loads of replays to cast in regular battles, so no worries. Oh, look at this Burning Head, though, initially getting some nice damage. Throg dueling. This is the fight. Again, I didn't know that I needed, but I did need it. Throg fighting a Great Unclean One with the Pillar of Bone in the background, the pinks and blues. Oh, man. Wow. Dude, Throg, bro. Talk about punching up. He manages to body that Great Unclean One and knock him over. Wow, Throg. I am super impressed, my guy. But anyway, these Armored Skin Wolves actually do get routed off. The Heralds of Khorne's Fury, let's see, where are they at? With their fire damage, they should be a pretty good match. Yeah, in the center here against the Skin Wolves and just elite stats. I mean, they are going to be taking some damage, it must be said, but also have the capacity for healing, and it looks like I saw some kind of heal there. Yeah, Fleshy Abundance does indeed go down on the Heralds of the Khorne's Fury, being the elite cavalry that they are. They will welcome such healing as they continue to trade very nicely against the Armored Skin Wolves. I mean, yeah, on paper, actually, Demons having so much fire damage does give them a pretty good out in this matchup, given Norska generally relatively weak to fire damage. They have a lot of units with a direct fire weakness, probably more so than any other faction, I would say. So that is, yeah, pretty good, honestly, thinking about it. From Demon's perspective, the fact they can just spam pinks and blues here and have them be pretty cost-effective fighting most Norscan units. But Heralds of Khorne's Fury now trying to fight it out with some Marauders. Did he just like bell smash some guy? That was pretty special. And then he spits him out of the belly. Wow. The animations for the Exalted Great Unclean One are just so special. But Throg has his own ideas. He's going to charge on in here and pop something. Looks like Foe Seeker is being popped on him. And Cascading Fire Cloak, Blight Swarm to help counteract that melee defense part of that buff, but still weapon strength will be extra juiced. And just all the buffs popping off right now. And the Exalted Great Unclean One is definitely feeling the pain of Throg. That said, though, once the pinks and blues turn their attention to Throg, he'll start to take significant damage. I mean, he doesn't have a whole lot of armor, and again, has a direct fire weakness due to the fact that he's a troll. So, yeah, 20% weakness to fire means these blues and pinks are just feasting value right now, shooting him in the back. And he definitely needs to pull away so he can regenerate. Yeah, there we go. Just wheel up and around so you position big old Chungus in between the pinks and blues and yourself. Get the Skin Wolves in here as well, and this Exalted Great and Clean One is going to be having some troubles. Lore accurate Throg. Hey, thanks, Xavier. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. I've enjoyed doing this for you guys over the years, and will continue to do it because I enjoy it so much. But ooh, look at this. Narcissism, the Slaanesh army ability being popped here. Very lucky pick. Actually nets Throg, allows the blues and pinks to try and shoot him down a little bit more because things are looking a little grim for the demons right now. If they're able to actually snipe Throg here, that will be a huge get, and they'll probably be able to get back in this game. Oh yeah, Fleshy Abundance. Oh man, on the Exalted Great and Clean One as well. That is fairly devastating, but at the same time, Demonic Leadership. Oh, the Burning Head! Oh no, not the Burning Head. Will that force some of these demonic units into instability? It looks like... perhaps? Maybe not. Throg does get terrified away there, which is actually good for him because Blight Swarmer is going to wear off and he'll be able to regenerate some HP. Skin Wolves also moving in. Yeah, Throg just YOLOs straight back into the Exalted Great Unclean One. But, ooh, the Skin Wolves. Will the Skin Wolves be able to carry? Nice Cascading Fire Cloak as well, again, to juice melee defense. And weapon strength there, up to 74 melee defense for Throg. There's no Flaming Sword of Ruin, though, which probably would have been fairly decent. I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but not only does it give magic damage, which applies versus any demonic units, fire damage as well, which would, of course, negate a lot of the healing. Horn of Khorne, nicely done there for the Exalted Great and Clean One's going to give him enough melee attack to actually rout Throg once more. Will Throg be able to actually escape this time? He's taking a really awkward routing angle. Ooh, looks like the Exalted did not get another attack animation in. But Throg, yeah, down below 750 HP momentarily. The pinks are going to get a volley on him as he tries to escape there to prevent him from getting too much more healing. I think it's all over. Yeah, I think it's all over. Some very timely buffs, and the Exalted Great and Clean One's able to pull it back from the brink. Pinks and blues also standing firm. Random demon powers are glorious, right? Pigman got just what he needed in that one, right at the right time. A number of times, right? Like the Narcissism Snare, the Horn of Khorne, both super well timed, very critical points in the battle where it was able to help him win. So very impressive stuff, I have to say. Love the pick of the Heralds of Khorne's Fury here. Going to be super strong in this matchup, and they definitely feast some value. The pinks and blues, again, extremely cost-effective. Just great units against Norsca in general. Exalted Great and Clean One's definitely a risk. Absolutely, but no javelins in this build means it did not end up panning out. But anyway, yeah, I think this is its current year here. Throg gets some insane value. The Armored Skin Wolves do all right. They don't quite pay for themselves, but still, Beasts of Tashnar do. Ice Wolves are also a pretty decent choice here. Overall, solid build from Norsca. Again, small little things here and there could have changed the outcome of that battle, and I honestly wouldn't change either builds. But did you do good? Yes, Pigman, you did good. Great timing with those buffs and, you know, Snare and those army abilities. I mean, you got a little lucky with the getting the right ones at the right time, but credit to you for also using them when you needed to great effect. So, fun one for sure. Thanks for sending that one in. And I think I'm going to skip this Chaos Dwarfs versus Bretonnia one. And we'll go to another game from Maverick Marauder. Same build. Like I said, he's a tabletop player, so he's going to play in a similar style where you create one build, and rather than tailoring per faction, you just kind of, you know, use it versus everyone. So we talked a little bit about some of the improvements I would make to the build before, but well, let's see it again in action as it is against the Empire. Quite an Empire build, it must be said. 4 heavy cavalry plus an Iron Blaster, 2 captains, and Balthazar Gelt. Are the captains both in the air? Yes, they are. Okay. Got some huntsmen and some state troops. I don't really know what to make of this Empire build. It's definitely a build. Balthazar got Searing Doom and Plague of Rust. No final transmutation is a mistake in my opinion. Such a strong spell. Might as well always take it. But let's see. We'll fast forward a little bit through this initial phase. Well, maybe not. Let's take a look at... oh no, we've seen the Greenskins build. That's right. Ogres, Mangy Marauders are here this time as well. I don't know if I caught them last time, but definitely a strong pick always in every matchup. Armor-piercing Skirmish Cav can get some good value, although their damage, even though it is armor-piercing, isn't insane. They definitely can pay for themselves, no problem, shooting the right targets. But yeah, cool Empire build. Definitely like the Empire build. Double captains on the Pegasus, I'm not completely sold on. I don't know if they're incredibly cost-effective. They definitely can be. Like, if you can dive like a caster or, you know, reasonably weak... reasonably high value target, the captains can definitely take them out in melee, and especially 2v1 with Balthazar supporting with like Plague of Rust, they can actually punch up into quite a few targets, more than what you might think. But let's see here. The Empire is going to miss their charge, unfortunately, on this side. Dirkit Squigs, regular Squig Hoppers? They're Dirkit Squigs, yeah. They're going to get in here, and they'll probably win this fight, actually, since the Empire Knights did not get a charge. Dirkit Squigs with their armor piercing, they honestly have pretty similar sustained melee stats. Yeah, very comparable sustained melee stats. Of course, the Empire Knights have just way more armor, but that is counteracted by the armor piercing damage of the Dirkit Squigs there. But let's see, Searing Doom perhaps going to equalize that, or at the very least force the Dirkit Squigs to move, which means they'll take some free hits from the Empire Knights as they try and disengage. But a couple more Squig herds on the quick follow-up there. In the center, the Night Goblins are pressing, and it looks like they're able to rout some of those Spearmen with some assistance. Warlord's boys did get routed off there in the center as well, though, but the River Trolls kind of hanging back for now, waiting for these lines to collapse a little bit. Dirkit Squigs, Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, doing a great job of harassing this backline. They're able to get in here and shut down that Hellblaster Volley Gun. I say frequently that Greenskins have the best light cavalry in the game, and that is largely due to their cost efficiency and volume. I mean, like, you can take more heavy cavalry units with Greenskins than any other faction. They have a good selection. I mean, you've got 3 different types of light cavalry, right? You've got your Wolf Riders, your Spider Riders, and Squig Hoppers all fall into that category. And, you know, very different levels of speed. You've got different, you know, poison, or just straight cheapness in terms of the Wolf Riders, right? So, yeah, it's really tough to protect, like, stationary artillery and ranged units can be, at least, against the Greenskins. Oftentimes, I've found the best case is to, yeah, against, if you have your own infantry skirmishers and you can protect them, you can certainly deal with skirmish cavalry of the Greenskins, but, yeah, like, against concerted pressure, especially like a full 20 stack, can be very difficult to protect against. But Empire is able to kind of collapse this advance here and get the Empire Knights and the captains going to try and deal with some of these other threats. Like these Rusty Airs right now looking super exposed. Probably just charge straight into them. Grom here helping out his caster bro, prevent him from getting sniped by these captains. And, ooh, are the captains going to get surrounded by River Trolls here? They're getting poisoned and debuffed and taking huge damage. Wah being popped. Grom pops everything. Wah, the Greatman is here. Lucky Banner, everything. He's like 100 melee attack and 800 weapon strength, probably, with everything. Yeah, that was insane. Grom and the River Trolls together with that timing buff were able to actually just rout both of those Empire captains, and that is going to put a huge dent in the balance of power, because that was a decent amount of value there wrapped up in those 2 Empire captains. The Huntsmen also need to be focusing on Grom. Right now, they're just kind of left on fire at will, kind of standing around in different places. You need to have, and this is something for myself that I found a lot of success with, is having certain control groups. Even if you're microing your units individually a lot of the time, it's good to have like all your missile units or all your infantry missile units on one control group so that you can quickly focus fire on an individual target. For me, I almost always put my infantry skirmishers on group 4, so I know every time, like if I need to focus fire a target, it's particularly exposed or high value, I could just click, 4. I have actually an MMO mouse, which has tons of buttons on the side. I have 12 buttons on the side, which I can then program to be number groups, obviously. So I'll just hit group 4, immediately focus fire. And it's quite effective, but Plague of Rust being used, the Empire captains have regrouped, and they're trying to turn the tables on Grom here. He's given Fists of Gork from the Shaman, who also rare charges in on his armor-piercing Piggy. And is going to do some nice damage to the captain there. That one's done. The other one's pretty much done. This is where you need Final Transmutation. It's like, get the Trolls and all 3 of these characters, all in, 2 of these characters, rather, all in a big blob. Just begs for Final Transmutation. Absolutely. But, alas, the Empire starting to falter as the balance power turns against them. There's just a lot of Greenskins left, and they also have the initiative and mobility to just route all this stuff off the side here, so yeah, let's keep fast-forwarding. Oh, the Empire is going to try and sneak some of their units up and around. Balthazar just kind of chilling up in the sky for the time being. And Empire Knights and Spears managed to beat down those trolls, and yes, trying hard to actually shatter them. Empire just barely hanging on by a thread here. Again, one big Final Transmutation just nuking this blob would probably turn this around pretty quickly, but alas, forgot to bring it. Definitely not a spell you want to forget. Maybe. Nope. Yep, there it is. I was gonna say, the army loss has got to be close at this point. But, yeah, good game to both, honestly. I love that Empire build, but Maverick Marauder was able to do enough to disrupt. Really excellent play with the light cavalry there, getting into the back line from multiple angles. Infantry all trades reasonably cost-effectively, so pretty good stuff. Good timing buffs also with Grand de Ponche to just absolutely beat down those captains, trying to go 2v1 on him. The Knights ended up doing okay. Yeah, 1 unit of Knights of the Blazing Sun, actually. I didn't highlight too much. But they got some insane value there, just cycle charging various targets. Don't see Knights of the Sun as often these days as you used to, but they are quite good if used correctly. But anyway, let's go on here. Let's see, I've got about 30 more minutes that I can stream today, so we'll try and get through a couple more here. Let's go down to another Greenskins versus Empire. You know what, actually? No, I'm going to save this one. So this is a little preview for you guys. I'm actually going to go cast this one separately and upload it as a video individually, probably sometime next week. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But I actually just decided right now, this replay is so epic, it deserves its own video. So you guys get a little preview of that from Maydave. But let's see here. I think I cast that one. Lizards versus Slaanesh. I don't think I've casted this one. This one's from Headmantis? Let me see. Let me look at Discord real quick. Okay, yep. No, actually. Who's this from? Who sent me this? Oh, it is Mantis. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, we've got Lore of... Is that Light? Nice. I love a Light Slann. Very interesting choice these days. A little bit different. Got some Sacred Croxigors there in the center. Rev Crystal. Looks like Temple Guards and some Cold One Riders plus Feral Cold Ones out on the side. Salamander hunting packs with some skink skirmishers, Saurus spears up front, and regular Saurus warriors mixed. So quite a well-balanced Lizardmen build, I have to say, for Slaanesh. We've got 4 secret chariots. What is going on? Okay. The Exalted Keeper of Secrets. We've got devoted Marauders here with spears and whips. An Exalted Demonette, 3 Exalted Demonettes. And that's it. So let's watch as the secret chariots. Is there something I'm missing with the secret chariots? Are they like actually pretty good? Okay, yeah, definitely. We see the damage on that initial charge there, and they're able to just crush some skink skirmishers, get through the skink cohort very quickly. They are immediately going to run into some higher mass units, though, in those Sacred Croc scores and like the Temple Guards and stuff, so they definitely need to pull out and away instantly. But that was a nice little initial break there using them. Let's see if they're able to pay for themselves in terms of actual value. Ooh, oh, okay. Almost got a nasty banishment there. It looks like he noped out just in time. Instead, he's going to go for a Barona's Time Warp, right? No? What's going on here? Oh, it's a net. Interesting. Okay, so he nets all these units in here so they can't escape. He can countercharge in there, try and do some damage to, like, especially the chariots and whatnot. There's the banishment. That's what we've been looking for in this blob. No! He cancels out of it again, and this time, for reals, we're going to see a Barona's Time Warp juicing the melee attack for all these units as they try and club down those Secret Chariots. Cold One Riders fighting even like Devoted Marauders here, just blending down. Yeah, you see those Secret Chariots just evaporate once that buff goes live. So, ooh, yeah, nice situation here for the Salamander Hunting Pack as well. They can fire into the low armor of the Exalted Keeper of Secrets there. There's the banishment we've all been waiting for. It ends up, unfortunately, going a little bit in the wrong direction. Doesn't quite get as good a value as it otherwise could have. If it were to roll back in the other direction, but still. Taking a look at the wider part of the battlefield, the Exalted Demonettes are going to be trading very well into the Saurus and just generally causing big headaches anywhere that they are. You can see all three engagements for them are going quite well. That said, Lizardmen standing firm in the center. They've got a little bit of healing from the Rev Crystal, and the Sacred Croc scores do not have the Day's Contact effect, but they do have magical damage, which is great against Slaanesh. All Slaanesh units, even the mortals, have some physical resistance, so magic damage is a very good idea against them. Keeper Secrets duking it out here with this Cold One Rider, but again, gonna face the point-blank burning fire of those salamanders, just yeeting straight up into his face. And Exalted Keeper Secrets definitely taking a lot of damage at this point. It's looking pretty dangerous, as Exalted Demonettes also get matched up against the Slann, who himself is going to be quite the tough cookie to crack. I mean, he has magic damage on his own, and with infantry support here, he can kind of get some little chunks done. Actually, will do some real damage to the Exalted Demonettes. Another little whip there from Slaanesh, and it looks like we're going to see another Barona's Time Warp, perhaps? Yep, another Barona's Time Warp for all these units fighting here. Unfortunately, the Salamanders do get terrified away there. But Cold One Riders, again with that, and the Sacred Croc scores also, again, magic damage, and punch the Demonettes super hard. So it's going to be the battle of the Spike Fists versus the Rock Fists here, as the augmented punchers just absolutely box it out here. People I see submitting some late replays also. Lizards should get debuffed in the cold. Apply the bonk stick to demon until no more demon. You know, you can't argue with this logic here. Absolutely. At Keeper of Secrets, though, having some issues. Sacred Croc scores and a beautiful surround there, and it looks like Slaanesh has indeed run out of steam despite the Demonette's best efforts, and a nice initial charge from those Secret Chariots. We'll see if they ended up actually paying for themselves, but I think he maybe overinvested in them, perhaps, but it's an interesting play, certainly, and I do respect the attempt to try it for Tree Tone here. Unusual, certainly, and yeah, none of them end up paying for themselves, but it is interesting to see. The Exalted Demonettes are definitely the powerhouse here, probably the best unit for Slaanesh if you can protect them and use them well, but the rest of the build has a hard time being cost-effective. Lizards are just really strong right now. Great, well-balanced build from Mantis here. And Temple Guards get some great value there. The Sacred Croc scores also, nice job. Salamander Hunting Packs managed to get some good value. Really just value spread all around here, so. Super good faction versus the worst. Yeah, Slaanesh is definitely one of the worst factions in land battles right now. I would agree. They're good, but absolutely goated Slaanesh build. Yeah, something like that. Anyway. So this one I'm probably going to keep as well, because I need a vampire counts game. Oh, which one was that? That one was the Lizard versus Slaanesh. Okay, so we're getting through. I'm going to keep the Skaven versus Slaanesh as well. But, did I cast this Kislev versus Empire already from Joy Boy? I don't think so. I think I casted a different Kislev versus Empire game. Let's take a look at this one. 5 Streltsy is definitely a build I've seen quite a few times this matchup. Streltsy, they trade decently against state troops. It's not super ideal, but they'll do okay because of the armor. Of course, they trade great against like knights. They have the armor piercing damage to fight just about any ranged unit of the Empire. I mean, they're just generally a nice unit overall here, supporting them with 4 Winged Lancers, 3 Kossars, a couple of things in the woods, and Ostankia. Very straightforward build, but I actually really like it in this matchup. As for the Empire, Carl here with some great swords. He's got Lore of Light and the Sunmaker. Some swordsmen, handgunners, Demigryph Knights with halberds. Relatively small build. He didn't accidentally take all the spells, did he? Oh no, he just took 3, which is a decent amount. 4. Okay, it's too much. But still, yeah, you could cut at least 2 of these. I would cut Shim's Burning Gaze, probably. Yeah, keep Banishment. Maybe keep Banishment, Faw's Protection, and Nets. But anyway, 1 Kossovite Dervish is going to get in here, intrepid as they are, and just shut down the Sunmaker immediately. It's almost impossible to stop this if you have any gaps in your formation, because they have that By Our Blood proc. So even if you do manage to break them, which the Empire player does here, yeah, it's going to be tough. Going to be tough. Yeah, you say 7 cav. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess you do count the things in the woods basically as cavalry, right? Even though they're monstrous infantry, they're cavalry speed. We'll see how it goes. But right off the bat, Mother Ostankia is going to come forward and just throw a little block of doom there. Somehow the Hellstorm crew, the Sunmaker crew, manages to survive. They're going to be able to get back on their rockets and continue applying pressure. But yeah, Carl is going to be kind of drawn out here a little bit. Needs to be careful not to be gunned down by all these Streltsy. There is no Regiment Renown actually in his ambushers to net him though. So he can be assured of that fact. But still, I mean, this is needlessly risky, Carl. Yeah, he is going to get gunned down. Ostankia taking some damage too, though. If it ends up being that he's able to snipe Ostankia, will this be worth it? From a value perspective, no. And from a battlefield situation, also no. But Carl, realizing his mistake, is going to flee. Unfortunately, Carl doesn't have a way to heal. Not that he'd be able to anyway, because the Mordheim Bale will, of course, shut down any and all healing. And just like that, early Carl throw is likely going to mean the end of this Empire build. We'll keep watching the replay, but yeah. Man, if I had a quarter for every time someone YOLO'd Carl or another Griffin Lord and got him killed in the first phase of the battle, I would probably be able to buy myself like a burger at McDonald's, at least. I mean, it does happen. It used to happen a lot more, I feel like, with Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2. When the Empire was much more commonly played, but yeah, that is going to be a big rip as the rest of this Kislev build keeps up the pressure. Yeah, this build from Joy Boy is pretty good. This is probably the build I would take, honestly, if I was going to fight the Empire with Kislev here. Streltsy switching on to the Demigryph Knights as they start to tear into Mother Ostankia. Man, I really wish Demigryph Knights were better. They're really just pretty poor right now. If you bring Carl, you got to bring Regrowth. Absolutely. You have to bring healing if you bring Carl, especially since Griffin HP is just crap right now, right? Like, they buffed Hippogriff HP for Bretonnia, but they never buffed Griffin HP for the Empire, so yeah, it's something you gotta be aware of. And no surprises, Joy Boy is able to take home the win there. But yeah, I would say for any of you guys who are playing Kislev, you run into this matchup, you can pretty much just take this build. You'll probably have a decent amount of success with it. But Anyway. Yeah, oh, I've been complaining about the Griffin HPs for ages. I mean, even when they updated the Wyvern HP on the Greenskins, which was quite some time ago, even at that point, I was like, okay, can we do the same thing for Griffins, right? Yeah. That one was quite good. Let's see here. We've got another one from Slade, this time featuring the Ogres versus Nurgle. And it's an Ogre Gunline build. Have you ever seen an Ogre Gunline build? Have you ever seen rank 9 Lead Belchers? I mean, come on, guys. Put your hands together for our Slade X, because this build is another Ultra Chad build here. High Elf Griffins need some work too. Oh yeah, of course. I definitely include High Elves and the Empire together in that. But yes, both High Elf Griffins and Empire Griffins should be brought up to the HP level that Hippogriffs were. I mean, they're basically the same unit, right? So, anyway. Yeah, this Chad gunline here, the absolutely Chungus gunline. 4 rank 9 Lead Belchers, Tyrant, no magic. 3 Man-Eaters, including the Regiment Renowned Powder Guts, and then just the 1 rank 9 Noblar. Of course, they've got to be rank 9. Oh, yes. Let's see. Against this Nurgle build, which is fairly hefty, got Exalted Great Unclean One, plus Uncle Furuncle, a regular Regiment Renowned Great Unclean One. Looks like Plague Bears, Festering Stooges, and the Demon Spew, along with some Nurglings, including the Frolicking Bubonic. Frolicker's Bubonic. So, yeah, all demon build. Very interesting. I feel like people tend to, when they see Slade on the ladder now, because of his fame in the community, will tend to also take meme builds against him, which leads to some hilarious replays. But, yes. Welcome to Slade. If you don't know who he is, this is who he is. Lead Belchers actually have a really good refire rate, I would imagine, with rank 9. Let's see how quickly they're able to use through their ammunition here. But, oh man, that Exalted Great Unclean One getting absolutely blasted initially. We're going to see a little Spirit Leech there from Uncle Furuncle. And, oh no, maybe it's from him himself. I mean, he is actually Lore of Death, but the Lore of Death means death when you don't have any healing for yourself and you're facing a line of rank 9 Lead Belchers. To be honest, I don't know if he would have barely made contact if he would have just charged straight at them. So that is quite impressive. The extra refire rate from the Lead Belchers. Yeah, let's look at their DPS over 10.7 second reload time with that rank 9. So keep in mind, if those of you guys who don't know, veterancy increases your reload rate. It reduces the reload time, if that makes sense. So your units fire faster. They get more shots in over 10 seconds. Which is why when you give units XP chevrons, you'll notice this missile strength on their unit card going up. It's because it's measured in damage over 10 seconds. So you'll see the fire rate reflected in that. But yeah, Uncle Furuncle is going to be the next target for the gun line here, as it's quite the kite game. Excuse me. I was going to say, if you were to tell me that Ogre Gunline Kite was on my bingo card for 2024, I probably would not have guessed. Although, if you told me it was from Slade, I probably would have guessed. You know? Absolutely glorious. Yes. And I also love, can we just honor this one Noblar that's been here fighting against a Plague Bearer for the entire game? They're ranked 9 Noblars, so they're just hanging out, just doing it. Just well, I mean, as long as the missile units are shooting, and as long as they're shooting and moving, like continuing to shoot while they're moving, it still counts as attacking also. But yes, the one Noblar is absolutely fulfilling the attacking role right now. Yes, Uncle Furuncle on his last legs. The Tyrant also holding back the tides. I love how the one Man-Eater was just thrown in here because Man-Eater stats are good enough. They can just fight in melee against this stuff. That way the Lead Belchers... Oh, man! Wow! I'm going to keep the health bars up because... Just wow. Look at this infantry just get melted by those Lead Belchers. Holy cow. Is this actually like a secret tech for real? I mean, granted, if you had cavalry, you'd be able to shut this down pretty easily, but wow, just the damage. Very impressive. Very, very impressive against this infantry. And these poor Plague Bearers just been running around the entire time. 0 value, 0 kills, 0 damage. Getting blasted in the face by whatever they're loading in there, which I think is, they literally just load the Lead Belchers with trash, right? If I'm not mistaken. Anyway. Let's get the health bars out of there and get a few cinematics here of this absolutely glorious, glorious battle. Festering Stooges just absolutely stewing with anger as they get blasted. They're going to be forced into demonic instability before they can even get a volley of their death's heads off. I mean, come on, guys. And there it is, army losses. So... quite the battle. Those Noblars even managed to survive. A little less than half of them, but still, they do manage to survive, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Thank the gods for Slade. What a battle it was. Absolute glory for the Ogres. And yeah, the Lead Belchers, rank 9 Lead Belchers, super effective. Who would have thought? Steven Seagal just getting blasted to... the Nurgle realm, back to the Plague Lands. Nothing really pays for itself. Oh, okay, one Plague Bear, I guess, that fought the Noblars pays for itself. But very impressive stuff, definitely. All right, so we've got that. And... let's see here. I've got time for one more. Who's it going to be? I'm just looking here. Is there anyone we haven't featured? I know there's a few factions we haven't featured today. But let's see here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Let's see. Let's do this one. But we'll finish up one last from Slade. And, of course, it is Nurgle versus Beastmen. And the Beastmen coming in with a nice wide build. Not too heavy. No single entities, really. No single entity monsters. Whereas Slade's coming in hot with the Plague Toads. He's got the Bog Barons as well. 3 Plague Drones and 2 Rot Flies. Wow. Just, again, can't make up these builds. On the Beastmen side, Malagor, we've got the Korok's Man Rippers, interesting choice. Some Ungor Raiders, we've got some Ungor Spearman herds as well out on the sides, Ungor's herds in the center, Bray Shaman of Wild. Interesting to take the Bray Shaman of Wild plus Malagor. I guess they're looking for the maximum damage output, just Traderkin here for blob busting, and then on this side we have just Penumbral Pendulum, don't see that too often anymore, and Flock of Doom. I think Malagor gets extra Winds of Magic anyway, so yeah, it's just interesting to see the double caster, but oh my goodness, I'm missing some Vanguards. Okay, so we have some Chaos Warhounds and 2 Chaos Warhounds and the Sons of Goros all just get crumped immediately on the Vanguard, trying to get sneaky from the corner. In the opposite corner, we've got a couple of Harpies swooping in this way. Yeah, some attempted trickeration from the Beastmen ends in absolute disaster as Nurgle's able to very quickly punish those units and just sweep them off the side. Let's see here. Yeah, Nurgle forces are marshaling, getting ready to countercharge. If this takes place in the woods, that is going to be pretty advantageous for the Beastmen, given they have woodsmen and, you know, primarily an infantry-based force with this army. A little spirit leech there from the Demon Prince onto Malagor. Keep him honest. But, yeah, the Toads definitely need to charge out from the forest. Right now, the Beastmen should be charging into the forest, but instead they're pulling up on station with their archers, just content to use Ungol Raiders to shoot a little bit here. But the Plague Drones moving in, take out the Harpies in melee. They'll have no problems doing so. These are not the ranged Plague Drones, so they can't shoot down from the air. But still, got these ones moving in to attack out on this flank here. And yeah, I'm not sure. Are the Toads? It looks like he's just going up and around and trying to avoid actually taking this fight here near the outside of the woods. Interesting. Yeah, Slade just kind of attacking only specific targets right now. It looks like with Harpies being dead, he now moves on to start hitting up these Ungol Raiders. We've got more Plague Drones closing in, or Rotflies rather, closing in from the back. So, ooh, here comes the Demon Prince to come threaten Malagor in melee. Meanwhile, the Plague Toads are just continuously pulling back. Taking some serious damage, though. They're going to need some healing, that rank 9 one, if it doesn't want to crumble away. But let's see. Bog Barons looking to potentially get a rear charge in here as well. And, yep, looks like the rank 9 Plague Toads are gone. Other Plague Toads are gone. They definitely had a rough go of it there. We've still got this rank 6 Plague Toad. And the Rotflies and Drones are doing a nice job kind of picking away these other units, but it's a quite unholy blob here for Beastmen as they just try and take out these few remaining units. A little Traderkin there on the Demon Prince. He's going to get a really nice AoE spell there, that Plague Breath. Stream of Corruption even. Is that a bound spell? Yeah, bound spell, Stream of Corruption. Interesting. I haven't really used the Demon Prince of Nurgle that much myself. But let's see here. Plague Toads and Rotflies charging back in. Beasties trying to stand firm, but here come the Bog Barons. Of course, they've got a little AoE Vigor Refresh for friendly units, as well as a mass and weapon strength decrease for enemy units, so should be able to synergize decently, but surprised how even the balance of power is, all things considered. Barons of the Bog and these Plague Toads starting to get in there, get some work done. We're going to see a little bit of Flock of Doom on them. Honestly, at this point, probably just save it all for Traderkin. Yep, and there's the Fecundity Army ability to heal these units back up. It'll chain between a number of them here and be able to heal all these units, keep them nice and tip-top shape. But balance power basically dead even, if not slightly in Nurgle's favor, which I find quite interesting. There's just a horde of Ungors here who are begging for some AoE damage. Slade doesn't have a ton, but yeah, things are looking interesting. Barons of the Bog continuing to just chew on the side of that formation there, and it looks like another little Flock of Doom. Another Traderkin as well. Yeah, we're going to see some of these Plague Drones start to go. The Rotflies even. There are still some Plague Drones hanging around over here. Tricky. Very tricky. Barons of the Bog going to feast on some Ungol Raiders. And balance power now showing in favor of the Beastmen, which to me is a lot more believable. But I don't know. If Slade can form up into a pretty degenerate monster blob, he can potentially heal a lot of his units at the same time as well with an Overcast Fleshy Abundance. Keep that blob sustained for quite some time. So let's continue to fast forward as the Beastmen pursue. Slade's going to countercharge back in, and there we see the Overcast Fleshy Abundance. Going to heal up those Plague Toads, the Rotflies, and the Demon Prince himself. Also pops Demonic Onslaught. We're going to see some magical response from the Beastmen, but really not going to be enough. Barons of the Bog also lurking in the background, trying to snipe off some more units. So we'll continue fast forwarding as Slade kind of cycle charges his monster blob here. Barons of the Bog able to fulfill the attacking rule by getting engaged with the Centaurs there. And now the rest of Nurgle's units have unified with the Barons, other than this one Plague Toad that's just randomly out here chewing on units. Let's see. Let's see if the Demon Prince tries to snipe Malagor. See another Flock of Doom there. Again, really not going to do much. Might as well just save it all for Traderkin at this point, since they're all low model count units. Yeah, only rank 5. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, let's see. They're going to wheel up and around and, again, try and unify with everyone together, perhaps. Perhaps not. Slade trying to find an opening here. It's going to collapse these archer units in the back as they're somewhat unprotected. And, again, we see all the Nurgle units fighting in one big degenerate blob. Demon Prince of Nurgle also comes in. We see a little Spirit Leech there on Malagor, trying to take him down. But the one thing that the Toads have going for them, the Toads and the drones both actually, in the big degenerate blob fight like this, is their disruption. Their attack animations just send dudes flying everywhere, so they actually will end up not taking as many attack animations back because of that. They're definitely not necessarily tanky per se, but Demon Prince of Nurgle up to 69 melee defense with Cloud of Flies active is going to be quite tanky. So let's continue fast forwarding as Slade continues to cycle charge here. Chase some routing units, make sure he finishes off anything that he can. Classic sort of cycle charge versus blob situation. Pick off scattered, isolated units wherever you can. Make sure you fully route them. And just play very patiently. Look for openings and try and pick off weakened parts of the formation, or, you know, isolated characters, or whatever you can do. Just really whatever you can do at this point to keep scrapping. And Slade will continue doing that. He manages to get the Demon Prince on Malagor a couple of times, getting some hits in. Demonic Onslaught helping to juice that up, but really actually surprising how well Malagor is able to not die here. All the while, the Toads, the Barons, the Plague Drones are just picking away at the edges of this formation, getting little rear charges in here, and slowly over time the balance of power is grinding in Nurgle's favor. But let's see here. Nice multi-charge on the spears. Again, hit them from multiple directions. Trigger Terror with the Demon Prince, rinse and repeat. And that's going to be the MO for taking out pretty much the rest of this army here, I would imagine. But let's see. These Plague Toads are up to 154 kills so far. They've got 762 damage values, so pretty good stuff. Demon Prince once again makes a run at Malagor and is unable to snipe him effectively, but this time it's a really nice terror route that is going to allow the Barons and the Plague Toads to just absolutely eat those routing units. Yeah, check this out. So, I mean, the Plague Toads are not the fastest in the world, but they're fast enough to keep up with routing goats. And they managed to shatter, again, all those units, just feasting value up like another 100 kills at least. So, anytime the Beastmen break, they are going to be heavily punished for it. And this is just very good, patient play from Slade. Technically might be breaking the attacking rule, I don't know, but that's fine. It's just a ladder game, who cares? Needs more Doom Wheels. Always needs more Doom Wheels. Did have some Skaven today, but yeah, no vampires, interestingly enough. I didn't get a ton of vampire replays recently. I had a lot of Coast replays, like right around New Year's, so it's fine. When's the next DLC? I believe so the Shadows of Change sort of Content Edition update, I believe, is coming in February, and then Thrones of Decay likely after that, like in March or something. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, at this point it's just a matter of formality of Slade managing to break the remaining units here. The Koroks Man-Rippers are technically a halberd unit, but not immune to psychology, so they get instantly terror routed, and then that's it. So there you go. Very patient play from Slade, I have to say. Very impressive with how he was able to just stick to the fundamentals and win that fight, despite on paper being quite far behind. 455 kills for the Barons of the Bog there at the end, 267. The rank 6 Plague Toads, the rank 9 Plague Toads didn't do nearly as much. Some of the Plague Drones as well, decent job, 1100 value there, 800 value there. And of course, the Demon Prince of Nurgle, 2687, a hard carry for him. Against this Beastmen build, which I definitely thought had the tools to win, but unfortunately just And not quite enough there at the end, kind of getting cycle charged to death. It is what it is. But yeah, weakest Australian bullfrogs, absolutely. That is going to be it for me for today. If your replay did not get featured, don't worry. I'm going to be casting tons of regular upload videos, so your replay definitely still has a chance to get featured in one of those. Thank you all so much for watching, for your support over the years, and for your continued support. I very much appreciate it. Thank you all so much. If you're not subscribed for whatever reason, be sure to subscribe. Give it a like, share it with a friend, all that jazz. Thanks again.